So let me get this straight. Work with me. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and anybody who believes in Hamas must be removed from the United States. And anybody who goes to a university who believes in Hamas has to be expelled, has to be removed. If you're a green carder and you're a member of Hamas, you got to go because Hamas is a terrorist organization, right? Okay. Hamas has never done anything to me, but the Democratic Party has. But they're legal. So I hereby submit that we switch this. Let Hamas sympathizers stay here, but arrest and deport DNC members. The Democratic Party has enjoyed a radical shift which mirrors extremist groups like, as they say, Hamas, BLM, Antifa. Those are Democrats, baby, and they affect me. The Democratic Party once a center-left political organization advocating for traditional liberal values has now taken a dramatic and a lunatic turn in recent years. Because look what they're doing. They're advocating the systematic destruction and the terrorism exacted against Elon Musk and Tesla. They're advocating this. Remember the George Floyd riots? What was once a party promoting free speech and democracy and civil liberties has now morphed into this authoritarian machine that silences any kind of dissent and seeks to weaponize the legal system against political opponents, us, and actively undermines the security and the stability of the United States. Hamas never did that to me. This shift has been so extreme that comparisons between the modern Democratic Party and groups like Hamas, certainly their Black Lives Matter group, and Antifa are no longer hyperbolic. They're becoming increasingly valid. From open support for radical anti-American movements to policies that weaken national security, the Democratic Party has positioned itself as a domestic, listen to me, as a domestic enemy of the United States. You agree? If groups like Hamas are prohibited due to their violent anti-Western ideologies or anti-Israeli or whatever it is, I'm not here to argue it. I'm telling you, if they're bad, Democrats are bad. Why is the Democratic Party allowed to function freely despite mirroring many of these same destructive tactics? Does this make sense to you? I don't understand it. Now, I want you to listen to me. I'm going to present 5 key ways, 5, in which the Democratic Party has basically aligned itself with extremist groups like BLM and Antifa and others, and why the time has come to reconsider the party's roles in American politics, and perhaps once and for all, treating them and categorizing them as a civilian domestic terror organization. Remember, whatever they say about Hamas, I mean, they make it clear. You go to Columbia University or whatever it is, you're gone. You have a green card, you're gone. You're through. If you are a sympathizer of Hamas, fine. And I'm not here to argue the point. I'm saying, fine, I'll give you that. But if that's true, Democrats go also. You can't have it both ways. First, number 1, the war on law and order. One of the defining characteristics of any extremist organization, like the Democratic Party, and their ancillaries of BLM and Antifa and others, is their total disregard for law and order. They operate outside of legal rules and boundaries. They justify violence as a means to an end, and they foster and promote nothing short of anarchy to achieve their goals. It's absolutely true. The Democratic Party has embraced similar tactics. Jimmy Kimmel goes on TV and jokes about it. CNN advocates terrorizing Tesla, citizens, keying cars, destroying personal property. Everybody else, from Maxine Waters, you talk about violence, exacting violence. You go up and you hit them and you... What's going on here? It's this war against Donald Trump. Hell, they tried to kill him at least 3 times that we know of. These are tactics seen in their war against law enforcement, the selective application of justice, and their outright encouragement of what amounts to violent uprisings. Since 2020, when they stole the election, Democrats have openly called to defund the police. This is the policy that directly led to skyrocketing crime rates, lawlessness, every kind of horror you can see at urban and city levels. the breakdown of public safety in major American cities, their refusal to prosecute violent criminals has created a kind of a two-tier justice system where leftist rioters and looters would walk free while conservative protesters face harsh punishment. There is nothing that anybody on January 6th did, anything that warranted those ridiculous penalties. They were trespassing. They didn't get a parade permit. That's it. But what they did, doesn't matter. They killed Ashley Babbitt. Nobody said anything about this. They had people, I remember these two lawyers or one lawyer who tried to throw a Molotov cocktail into a police car. I mean, these people are crazy. And you have people like Don Lemon saying, I don't see anything. I don't see anything here. There was fires that were blazing out of control. The Democratic National Committee, the DNC, the Democrats, are a terrorist organization. And at the same time that all this happened, they have fully weaponized, or they tried to, the Department of Justice, the FBI, against their political enemies. You, me, Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro. They even did this to Roger Stone. They sent ninja, tactics at 4 a.m. For what? What did he do? Roger Stone. And countless others whose names you will never know. People who were thrown into these weird DC gulags for doing what exactly? For expressing themselves? For uttering speech? And Hamas? Hamas is a problem for me? Hamas never bothered me. They did. This is incredible. Countless others have been subjected to this politically motivated nonsense, indictments. Look at lawfare. Other criminals within the Democratic Party, from Hillary Clinton to Hunter Biden, they remain untouched. This deliberate erosion of the law or the rule of law mirrors perfectly the tactics of extremist groups that manipulate legal systems for political gain. What does that sound like to you? Number 2, support for radical anti-American movements. Oh my gosh. BLM, Antifa, every conceivable freak show, LGBT, trans, whatever, you name it, they're for it. They want to destroy sports, collegiate sports, high school sports. They want to destroy gender and family. And I mean, did Hamas ever suggest that? I don't think so. In fact, I'm not an expert in Hamas, but something tells me they're probably not maybe the most progressive in terms of embracing alternative lifestyles, but I digress. They thrive on any group which shows anti-Western ideology. And the Democratic Party has increasingly aligned itself with similar radical movements from BLMs to remember, it's not so much pro-Palestinian or pro-anything that's a problem. It's the violence. A group of people decided on January 6th to act a little rambunctious. Democrats do it all the time. They don't want to just protest. They want to shut down Grand Central Station at rush hour. They want to go into national monuments. They want to destroy and destruct and completely obfuscate your ability to appreciate and express yourself through the promotion of entertainment or whatever. They obstruct. They just don't have an idea. Do the Republicans do that? I don't think so. January 6th, that was the only thing they did. That little nothing. That zero event where no police officer was killed. But the only one killed was Ashley Babbitt. A name they forget. And by the way, who was the name of the fellow? Was he ever indicted? No. So listen, I don't want to get into the right or wrong about the issue of Palestinian and Gaza, but the rallies here that openly call for the destruction of Israel, and Democrats having now you can say this, and a lot of these, and I know again I don't want to get too much into this because people are going to say, wait a minute, a lot of these folks are agents provocateurs, maybe they're falsified. But what I'm saying is, Democrats have absolutely no problem with this whatsoever. But Hamas never bothered me. They do. The Democrats have embedded themselves in movements that directly threaten our Western American civilization. During the 2020 riots, BLM and Antifa members burned businesses. assaulted police officers, and took over entire neighborhoods in cities like Seattle. Remember where the Chaz, the Capitol Hill autonomous zones, remember that? They were declared independent from the United States. Remember that? Instead of condemning this lawlessness, Democratic leaders defended it. Kamala Harris even promoted a bail fund to help violent criminals return to the streets to continue their chaos. What does that sound? Does it sound like aiding and abetting to you? Democrats have also normalized anti-Israel rhetoric, which is fine. You can be anti-Israel, you can be anti-France, you can whatever. With members of Congress like Elon and Rashida Tlaib and AOC and others voicing open hostility towards what many people consider to be America's ally. Okay, I've got a lot of problems with what's going on. A lot of problems with the way innocent people in Gaza are treated. However, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, they never did anything to me. Nothing. Nor did the Russians or the Ukrainians for that matter. I don't have a problem with any of these folks. I don't. Others might. But the Democratic Party, that's my problem. That's her problem. That's the thing. That's what we have to understand. This is what we have to understand. And they will make absolutely no, this notion of moral relativism where Democrats refuse to differentiate between terrorists and sovereign nations where they really don't know. I don't know if they really care. I really don't know. I don't know what they believe in. I think they believe in anything that hurts America, anything that hurts us. The third, open borders, the importation of extremists. One of the biggest threats to any nation's sovereignty is the uncontrolled flow of people across its border. Okay, it's that simple. This is a tactic that is used by terrorists and cartels all over the world to smuggle fighters and weapons, all right? The Democratic Party has applied the same principle to the U.S. by deliberately weakening border security and allowing millions of illegal aliens to flood. Joe Biden from day one in his administration reversed nearly every Trump-era border security measure there was. Everyone. Opening the floodgates for criminals, for cartel members, and even individuals on terror watch lists to enter the U.S. All of them unvetted. With over 10 million illegal crossings since Biden took office. Think about that. The experts argue that America was facing a deliberate invasion. And the Democratic Party is legal? That's my beef. Not Hamas, not Hezbollah, not the Houthis, not Putin, not none of those people. No. They're all the Democrats. But why would Democrats push for policies that harm national security? The answer is clear. They see illegal aliens and the like as future Democratic voters. By flooding the country with people who have no allegiance to American values like the Democrats do, they're reshaping political landscapes to ensure permanent Democratic rule. Other terrorist organizations use that. The Democratic Party is a terrorist organization. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they espouse. Listen to that. Number 4, the assault on free speech and expression and political dissent. One of the hallmarks of any terrorist organization is the complete lack of free speech. Anyone who dares to criticize anybody or them, whatever, or claims to provide a different political ideology, they're silenced, imprisoned, or worse. The Democratic Party adopted an approach using big tech, corporate media, and government agencies to suppress speech they don't like. From mass censorship of conservative voices on social media to President Trump, to others, to Twitter. You've heard that. Whether it's that or masks or vaccine talk or anything. This world, they even came up with a disinformation governance board. Remember that one? Democrats worked tirelessly to control the narrative. Elon Musk, God bless him, in his purchase of Twitter, exposed how deeply embedded the Democratic Party was in social media censorship. With the FBI and DHS actively pressuring platforms, remember, to suppress Hunter Biden laptop stories. But it's not just online speech either that we're talking about. Parents protesting a radical gender ideology in schools were labeled Democratic terrorists. Remember Merrick Garland? Remember sending in the FBI against Catholic parents? Trump supporters have been targeted, surveilled, vilified, and treated as insurrectionists for simply attending a Democratic rally. Think about that. Think about that. Democrats, they have done more to destroy free speech, more than Hamas did, more than Hezbollah has ever done, or the Houthis or anybody else. I don't have a beef with them. Others might. Democrats, I do. Why aren't they a terrorist organization? Why was BLM and Antifa? Why hasn't there been one indictment of any of these people? If that's not domestic terror, I don't know what is. This is what they do, what the Democrats have done is indistinguishable from that which was used by authoritarian regimes and terrorist organizations. It's absolutely true. And finally, the criminalization of political opponents. This is critical. Terrorist organizations are notorious for their power to eliminate political opposition, often through violence or imprisonment. The Democrats did the same thing. The same thing. They've adopted similar tactics, using lawfare to destroy political enemies. Donald Trump, the leading Republican candidate for 2024, was hit with multiple indictments and what is clearly an attempt to keep him off the ballot. These cases were flimsy, politically motivated, basically lawfare on steroids, and meant to bankrupt him and his allies. Meanwhile, actual corruption, such as Joe Biden's multi-million-dollar bribery scandals, went ignored. Democrats even went so far as to threaten Supreme Court justices who refused to rule in their favor, with mobs showing up outside their homes and left-wing politicians openly calling for them packing the court. What we're seeing right now is not normal political, competition. It's the weaponization of the government against an opposition party. This is how terrorist organizations, BLM and Antifa, that's how they operate. This is how all authoritarian people work. Let me just put it to you very, very simply. It's simple. There's nothing to this. There's nothing really deep behind this. If Hamas is a terrorist organization, Hamas, that never did anything to me, never did anything that affected me, never. If I'm supposed to drop what I'm doing and demand that they be extricated and removed and culled and vetted from college campuses, which I'm not attending because of advocacy, which I think is a little shady, because last time I thought you can pretty much say whatever you want. I know they're not citizens, but whatever. But if that's okay, all I'm saying is I'll give it to you. I'll tell you, fine, that's great. Then you've got to do the same thing to the Democrats. Because I don't know anybody, either pro-Palestinian Hamas, who says, go down and let's destroy car dealerships. Let's shut down American free speech. Let's shut down, let's defund police. Let's destroy gender. They have a rather pretty specific beef. What do you think, my friends? I'm serious. What do you think? So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos, and whatever you do, I beg, beseech, importune, and implore you to comment as you see fit.